Another day, another step closer to dystopia.
Me, Mudahar, and would you get a brain chip put inside you? Now, ladies and gentlemen, today I actually have seen something that kind of blew my mind today. I'm a huge fan of technology. I'm a huge fan of cyberpunk singularities. One day, I think that we probably will
I like that, but I don't want to live in that. That sounds like hell.
be half machine, half human beings, okay? Now, before we get to that, I just want to stress, I'll be long dead, okay? I don't think that's going to happen for a little bit of time. So, ladies and gentlemen,
I think when the jump happens, it's going to be pretty rapid. I think it's going to be pretty rapid. Google is currently investing literal billions into new facilities to create AI. And that's kind of wild, because if anyone's going to do it, it's actually Google. They probably already are doing dark stuff without us knowing, so, maybe one day we wake up and congratulations, immortality. But not for us peasants.
today I'm looking at Neuralink, okay? Now, you might know this company. Elon Musk owns it. Like many companies he owns, Tesla, Twitter. Sometimes you get a bit of a mixed bag. Now, I'm somebody that just likes looking at things objectively, so I'm going to give a little bit of credit over here. What I'm about to show you is some pretty cool stuff initially when I saw it, okay? And then I went down a rabbit hole of brain interface companies. So let's actually look at what's going on. Now, Neuralink, for some quick context and history, has had a pretty tumultuous reveal. For instance, if you go to their website right over here, they're pretty simple, all right? They'll actually tell you their mission is to create a generalized brain interface to restore autonomy to those with unmet medical needs today and unlock human potential tomorrow. So for now, it's about fixing people up who have actual medical problems that, are unmet, and then tomorrow we download entire shit to our brains, okay? Now, look, I cover computer...
Remember when they told you won't download a car? Well, now we have arguably gone a little bit past that.
malware and all this crazy stuff. So anytime a piece of technology gets installed into my head, if I gotta start firmware updating a piece of tech in my brain, that's scary, okay? This is coming from the same guy whose company updates
Yeah, I will never install anything in my brain.
a vehicle and has severe issues, okay? Let me tell you something right now. As one of those owners, updating a car from Elon Musk is kind of a mixed bag. At the toss of the coin, you could take it to a service center or actually manage to drive it. So I could only be scared at what a brain interface chip is going to do. Now, looking at the chip, it actually looks mostly like a watch battery almost, a bigger watch battery with these, like, small little threads that I believe they're supposed to connect into your brain through a surgery that requires a robot because no human hands could apparently do this. And here they show you what's in here. They got the biocompatible enclosure. They've got a battery that needs to be charged from the outside, so I assume you just connect a little charger to your brain or head and let it wirelessly charge using induction, which sounds weird. Almost sounds a little painful in a way, too. I mean, that generates heat like crazy.
Yep, that does not sound something that, I want to enjoy ever.
And then, of course, you've got, like, the chips and electronics over there, low-power chips and whatnot. And then, of course, the threads that connect into your brain. Now, if you're wondering, whoa, Muda, can I get a brain chip? Bro, they literally have first clinical trial is open to recruitment. So if you're part of the United States or Canada...
By the way, fun fact. Not even half a year ago, monkeys were dying from this, and it was actually a pretty big scandal for a very, very short period of time. That their test subject monkeys were not really doing good with this. How things change, how fast they change also.
Canada, and you're 18 years of age, and you're able to consent, and you got quadriplegia, paraplegia, vision loss, hearing loss, the inability to speak, or major limb amputation, then...
How does a brain implant help you with hearing loss, vision loss, and the inability to speak? That's a little bit strange. I don't get it.
Please, feel free to sign up, and maybe one day you can get brain chipped in your head. Now, again, one of the actual interesting things is if you look into the history of it, back in the end of 2022, it was Reuters that was reporting that the company Neuralink had killed 1,500 animals.
That was 2 years ago? Wow, how time flies. Time really does fly.
More than 280 sheep, pigs, and monkeys. And then, of course, that was experiments since 2018, according to the records reviewed by Reuters, and they had sources with the company's animal testing operations. Now, the total number of animal deaths does not necessarily indicate that Neuralink is violating regulations or standard practices. Many companies routinely use animals in experiments to advance human health care. And I'll say
this is not what I wanted to mention. I want to mention one thing about the number of animal deaths. So, first of all, you don't actually know what percent of all animals this is. Second of all, in things like this, they are deliberately gonna kill the animals. They are deliberately gonna push it and see what actually ends the animal. That is a part of these trials, how it looks. They need to find what they can do, what they can't do, what is the limit. Maybe there's a limit to something and things like that. So a lot of this is actually intentional.
In experiments to advance human health care. Skincare industry, like we have One Up now, which is a great brand, by the way. Go to gotoneup.com. Absolutely do your
yes, more self-shilling about things no one knows anything about. Good times.
Skincare routine in literally had discussions internally. Animals get themselves. Elon Musk's that great, and then like months later after that, Elon Musk's Neuralink actually got FDA approval, and the FDA is like the scariest U.S. federal agency after the Internal Revenue Service. Okay.
Not even close. The FDA can be bribed extremely easy in America. And when I say bribe, I obviously mean very legal things. Lobbying exists for a reason. Lobbying should be illegal, and everyone involved with lobbying and things like that should be executed, in my opinion. Punishments are not heavy enough for people to, not do this. Every single person in a high position of the FDA somehow magically just leaves the FDA after a while and goes to work for a giant pharmacy company while doing nothing and gaining 6 figures in salary or more sometimes. And they magically approve a bunch of drugs these pharmacies produce. Strange how this happens. So the FDA is not the strictest thing at all. It is one of the most corrupt things in general. That's why it has a 3-letter acronym. Everything with 3 letters should be burned.
Agencies you want to fuck with is the IRS and FDA. I would be more scared of these two agencies than the FBI and the CIA and all these other 3-letter agencies busting down my door. I shit you not. And of course, it was actually insane because they got the first in-human clinical trials, which is what has led to an actual human being getting the brain chip into their head. Now, if you go to the actual Neuralink YouTube channel, literally like 12 hours ago, they uploaded the Neuralink live update, March 2024. An actual person has this chip in their head. Now, the reason I have to mute this is because they decided to put, like, I think, copyright music in the background. They just had music running. This is filmed kind of like Mark Zuckerberg crapping on the Apple Vision Pro inside somebody's house. It's got kind of this homey vibe to it. So, again, this is literally just shot to show people what they actually have going. So here he's got like a MacBook with like chess running on it and of course like Steam in the background. And what's interesting is he's actually able to move the mouse around through this. Unfortunately, the actual image is uploaded in like 240p for some reason. But yes, he is actually controlling chess. The actual interface he's interfacing from his brain chip to the actual computer. So this man is actually able to control it.
Now there is the thing, maybe you have heard of it, but there is this one girl that does Dark Souls with some kind of thing that you put on in your head and then she does it. So yeah, stuff like this is, well, it's getting faster and faster and closer and closer.
The computer now and do, again, tasks that you and I normally could do using the power of their brain. With telekinesis, I guess you could say, unlocked. He actually installed telekinetic powers into their head, okay?
Can you explain a little bit just to people who maybe don't have any context on this field or what's going on here? How are you able to actually move the cursor?
Yeah, so we started out with trying out a few different things. We basically went from what we call kind of differentiating like imagined movement versus attempted movement. So a lot of what we started out with was attempting to move. So I would attempt to move, say, my right hand, left, right, forward, back to. And from there, I think it just became intuitive for me to start imagining the cursor moving. Basically, it was like using the force on a cursor, and I could get it to move wherever I wanted. Just stare somewhere in the screen, and it would move where I wanted it to. Which was such a wild experience.
Now, obviously, for Nolan over here, I'm pretty happy that he actually has his quality of life improved, as I think most people are. Now, what's interesting is when he talks about, like, I just imagine I'm doing something and he's basically using the Force. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's as close to telekinesis as we're kind of getting. He imagines where he wants the mouse.
The more interesting thing is just something I figured out just now hearing this. Because there is actually, yeah, a differentiation between you imagining doing something and you actually wanting to do something, which is wild. You know, for example, imagine you're moving the mouse to the left, but you're not actually moving it. And then you actually want to move the mouse to the left. Those things are way different. Huh, interesting.
To go, and the mouse just goes there. So again, this is a pretty huge step for this company that I kind of expected to just sort of sit down. Elon Musk is the kind of guy that promises a lot of things, but I really don't see them materialize to the point, you know, like things like the Tesla robotaxi, right? Like the idea of like the Tesla fully, autonomous driving system, not requiring you to constantly jiggle the wheel, because at that point, it's not an autonomous driving system. I might as well just drive the fucking car myself. So it's weird that, you know, you're looking at a guy whose companies involve Tesla, which, you know, great luxury car brand for EVs, but their autonomous driving system isn't to the level it should be or is promised. And I think there's other car manufacturers like Mercedes that have actually superseded Tesla when it comes to that boon in their wallet. You've also got things like...
Have they?
Like Twitter, which has, you know, been down into the pussy and bio crap. So again, there's a lot of misses, but this seems like an actual genuine success over here, right? It seems like this is something awesome for them to show. So again, I'm glad to see that, you know, people like Nolan actually have their quality.
By the way, I just want to quickly explain one thing that a lot of people get wrong, especially Mudahat, talking about things like Elon Musk. Elon Musk does not promise more miracles than any other CEO in the world. The reason people think that Elon Musk actually says more crazy and unbelievable shit than any other CEO, because a part of a CEO's job is literally to create hype about their company and what's gonna happen in the future and all of that. All CEOs do this. Elon Musk is not even remotely special. My assumption is he's actually pretty much middle of the pack when it comes to CEOs and promising shooting stars every day. The only reason why people think about Elon Musk differently is because he is way more in the forefront of the spotlight than, you know, a lot of things. He is socially a very, 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 very well-known and prominent individual. So people know that. So people notice him saying these things a lot more. But again, he's not special in this case. Every CEO offers the heaven and the earth to everyone every day.
Your life improved, and like the next steps apparently is to actually go beyond and start focusing on fixing a lot of people with paralysis. Maybe one day reigniting a lot of these synapses and natural currents in their brain in order to actually move again or possibly see and do things, right? Actually cure a lot of medical conditions that exist. Now, to me, this is kind of weird because I've always learned about the brain being this like beast that we still have yet to understand. I think when you talk to anybody, right, like in the terms of like neurology, in terms of neuroscience, the brain is still very much in a misunderstood creature. We still don't know entirely how the brain properly works, and it's going to take a lot.
Also a complete misunderstanding. We pretty much have no idea about anything in the organism, how it works, or how the brain works is even more complicated. You know, the amount of stuff we know about how our organisms work in general is very low. The stuff that we know about how our brain works is even actually lower. A lot of people misunderstand stuff. For example, how a lot of drugs work and things like that. Let me give you an analogy for what I mean here. A lot of people think that it's as simple as this. Imagine you have a bucket of water. And this is also very fitting of the disease of unknown origins, by the way, as an analogy to a certain degree. Imagine you have a bucket of water. And there's an ant in the middle of it. And then you take your finger and push it down. And the ant stays underwater. And it dies. And you can deduce that, well, the ant died because we pushed it underwater, and it died because there was no oxygen, and then some processes in its body couldn't function because of the lack of oxygen. That is what people assume that we understand when it comes to our bodies, our minds, and things like that. But in reality, it's a little bit different. So we have a bucket. This is now the example of what we actually understand pretty much. We have a bucket. We're pretty sure that's water in there. There's an ant, and now we take our finger and push it below the water. Now, we're not sure if the ant is actually, in this case, how much we don't understand is, we're not even sure the ant is actually being pushed with our finger under the water. Maybe that's happening because we're touching the water in the first place. And we don't know why the ant dies. Maybe it's a lack of oxygen, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. You understand how much we suddenly don't know. But we know that the effect of us doing this results in death. But we don't understand the finite principles why something happens. Because it's very easy to observe these very simple and off the top things. For example, you punch your hand. You have no idea what's actually going on and things like that. You just know you do this and you feel stuff. We can observe the reactions, but we don't know a lot of what's happening in the middle. Okay, that's how little we actually know about this stuff.
A lot more research. So maybe this kind of stuff can accelerate it. I think we're a long ways away from installing intelligence and installing stuff into our head, much like a smartphone. But for now, it seems like what you can do is actually control a computer, right? Maybe one day he can type things out, write emails, all without even touching a keyboard or mouse. Now, do I think you should get a fucking Neuralink? Should I get a Neuralink?
Yes,
I think
please.
Unless you are actually physically debilitated or mentally or whatever, and you need this device to function again in society, that is the only reason you should go for it. I don't think you should cosmetic.
Also, that's pretty wild because he showed at the start that you can only do this. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. You can only do this if you have problems,
Be getting this just for the sake of getting it, okay? The last thing I can ever trust is a big tech company constantly involved into my head. That's like that shitter thing from South Park, okay? Don't be doing that. Don't install the shitter to your head. Now, I went down the actual rabbit hole of BCI companies, which is brain-computer interface organizations. And you got Neuralink, you've got Cognition, you've got Paradromics, you've got Synchron, Kernel, BrainGate, BlackRock, Neurotech, Neurable, and Emotive Systems. And it just keeps going on.
BlackRock Neurotech. Now that's something Now that's definitely someone you don't want putting anything in your body.
On and on and on. So there's a lot more companies that are involved in the brain interfacing game. For instance, you've got companies like, again, the Cognition, which are creating these like brain-computer interface programs, which I guess you put this on your head like a standard, like, head-mounted device, and it's got like these little prongs that are able to read the brain activity in your...
Yeah, there's, again, the girl on Twitch that does Dark Souls playthroughs with this, I know. He doesn't show it, but yeah, there's a girl on Twitch that does this. Pretty wild stuff.
Your head. You've got BrainGate, who have been around for a while too, where their actual brain technology, from my understanding, may be slightly less invasive. Like, I think you still need to get chipped into your head, but they use like a special rod that connects up there just to actually read brainwave patterns. For instance, one actual clip I saw from 7 years ago by Stanford was actually like an individual who had this thing installed to their head and was actually typing around in here. So again, they were looking around, typing things into it, And for people who are completely disabled, getting access to technology, getting access to accessible services is probably the best thing.
Bro, this thing 7 years ago, this thing is now probably a diversity higher dream and nothing's happening here. They have regressed.
You can actually hope to see. So using this device that obviously reads brainwave patterns, they're able to move this dot around and
Dude, this is so freaky because she literally looks plugged in.
interact and type things
The Matrix is less creepy than this.
out for people, right? Now, one thing that kind of makes me wonder about this too is like, if this is where we're at, where we're moving a mouse around, I don't understand if we necessarily need super invasive brain technology either. I really think this could probably be done with like a $237 eye tracker. This is the Tobii eye tracker, which if you're like a gamer, this is one of those like special devices you buy if you want to like, you know, show people where you're looking at on your monitor, or there are certain games where you can have like head tracking, eye tracking. I wonder if this could be used instead of actually chipping your brain, at least for the functionalities we've kind of seen.
Probably.
I see a lot of people getting blown away, but the more I go down this rabbit hole, the more I realize that brain interfacing technologies and a lot of this stuff has already pretty much existed. The eye tracking stuff is in, like, from what I understand, most actual like VR headsets these days. I think even PlayStation has it. I think Apple Vision Pro has a great eye tracker.
Well, not interested in Apple Vision Pro or whatever. It is what it is. Anyway, a dystopia now. Yay, how fun. I mean, it's happening. It's happening, boys. Sooner or later. And there's literally no reason to not push this to its maximum level and get a human conscience into a machine. There's no reason to not do this. Keep in mind, that's currently what most of the billionaires and millionaires who are old actually want to do. They want to live forever, obviously. They're investing a lot in this, so, you know, let's see how it goes. I wonder if there's already some guy with a brain in a jar and it's pretty bad. I don't know about you, but I'm cryo-freezing myself, probably. In any case, this was Quizzer Sensei, and thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and have a nice day. Bye-bye.